Hey guys, what would a good color theory course be without the basics of the color wheel? So that's what this video is. It's just a good, thorough color wheel video. Now, I am going to cover a little bit more than the basics in this, but let's just do the basics first, starting with our primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And we all know that our secondary colors are the colors in between our primary colors, and they are just made up of equal parts of our primary colors. So yellow and blue makes green. Then we've got our purple, which is red and blue, and our orange, which is yellow and red. And this is the basics of the color wheel. And it just shows you that all 6 of these tones are made up of these 3 colors. But the more interesting thing about this video that I will be getting into with this next portion is showing you how these primary colors also make up all browns. And this is why the color wheel applies to permanent makeup. Because on faces, we're obviously not putting these bright, clowny colors on our faces. We are wanting to put more neutral tones into faces. I need just a little bit more yellow in this orange here. Okay, and now how we apply the color wheel to permanent makeup is by utilizing how the color wheel works to create neutral colors. So how you create neutral colors is by mixing all 3 colors together. Now, the easiest way to do this is by mixing complementary colors. Because each primary color's complementary color is made up of the other 2 primary colors, by combining your complementary color, you make a brown, because you're actually creating all 3. You're actually making a color out of all 3 primary colors anytime you mix 2 complementary colors, because you have 1 primary color and 1 complementary color, which again is made up of the other 2 primary colors. So I don't want you to just think about red plus green equals neutral. I want you to look at that green and see and know that it is the other 2 primary colors, yellow and blue. So this is the main important thing that I want you to take from the color wheel, is understanding that a completely balanced color, in order to get a nice balanced brown, you have to have a balance of all 3 primary colors. And that's why the color wheel is so important for permanent makeup, because we have to make sure to utilize all 3 primary colors to create our browns. We're only putting neutralized pigments into skin. We never put any bright, clowny colors into skin. You're only going to put in slightly neutralized colors. Even as modifiers, we're never putting a straight bright red in. We are putting a more neutralized red in, and more neutralized golds and neutralized caramels. That's the number 1 rule of skin. Anything that's going into the skin needs to be neutralized. So in order to know how to do that, you have to understand how to neutralize pigments. So what I'm going to show you is how to use these three primary colors to create 3 different shades of brown. Because the other thing that I want you to understand is that each primary color has a different level of depth. Yellow is the lightest tone, obviously. Red is the medium, kind of a medium tone. And then our blue is what creates the base of our blacks and super, super dark browns. So I want to show you how to make brown out of just these 3 primary colors, and help you understand how, for example, just a small drop of blue would completely take over a light color because it's just so much more pigmented. So for all dark browns, you have to understand that there's already naturally a lot of blue in a dark brown, but it's neutralized with, of course, the other two, reds and yellows. And in all medium browns, you've got bases of red. And in any medium brown color, you should see that underlying pigment of that warmth, those kind of coppery red tones. And in all light browns or blondes, you should be able to see that base color of that yellow. And in order for that color to be very, very light, it has only just a little tiny pinch of a blue. Again, because blue creates a lot more depth and darkness. And then in the medium tones, red creates a lot of that. And then in your darkest tones, you've got that blue. So I'm going to first lay in at the first level of the paper, because the paper is going to soak up most of the pigment with this first pass. I'm going to do the base of each color, which is, again, for our darker browns, blue, medium browns, red, and lightest brown, yellow. So now I'm going to lay in the secondary color for each of these colors, which for our dark brown is red. And I'm laying this pretty heavily, but the paper's already soaked up a lot of pigment, so our secondary colors aren't going to make quite as big of a difference or an impact. And this is actually something we can, know and utilize in permanent makeup as well, just remembering that that first pass we lay in is going to make the biggest impact. Okay, and now for our medium brown, we're just going to lay some blue in over there. And you can see how much depth and darkness just even a little tiny bit of blue adds to that red. And you can see that the red doesn't add that much darkness, not nearly as much as the blue. And now when I'm laying this blue on top of this, I'm just putting it in really lightly, because I don't want this to go too dark. Adding my third color into this medium brown. And I'm just topping off this bottom one with just a little more yellow. And also laying the third and final color into our dark brown. And this dark brown colored pencil I picked on the left is honestly so dark that it has even a little bit of black added into it. So the brown I'm creating probably won't go quite that dark, but I just mainly want to show you that I can create a kind of a blonde color, a medium brown color, and then a dark brown color using only the three primary colors. And because the edges have those bright tones in there, I'm just creating a box around them just so that you can really focus on the center of these pigments. And as you can see, just by kind of separating out those tones so that you are really focusing on this, again, the center of these pigments where they're blended the best. You can actually see that that medium brown one is pretty on. as well as the lighter kind of blonde, light brown, and even the dark brown is really not that far off. But kind of amazing, right? That just 3 incredibly bright colors can create such neutral tones. And why this is so important and how we utilize this is in color correction, as well as just understanding the importance of how to, knowing that in when we pick up a pigment and it's brown, knowing that it automatically has been balanced with blue, we just have to make sure going into the skin that it has enough warmth. So that's what we're focusing on. And I go over that in depth in the next section of how color theory applies to permanent makeup. Now, what I wanted to show you is I wanted to do a color wheel one more time, but with a pale yellow instead of a bright yellow. The reason I wanted to do this is because I want to show you how vital having enough warmth and having enough gold in skin, how it's absolutely vital to getting rich colors. So even just a slightly more pale yellow, do you see how peachy and just pale, actually? Just instead of a rich color, it just looks very pastel and not the right tone. It doesn't create the right orange. And as you can see, just to show that I'm not filtering this or doing something weird, I mixed up the purple with the red and the blue. And as you can see, the purple looks just like before. But again, with just even slightly more pale yellow, look at how pastel this green turns out. So, and going into the face, we really want rich, pigmented, beautiful colors. And that's where making sure that we have enough warmth is absolutely vital. So just remember all of what I've shown you today as you continue on to the next section, and it will help make everything make so much sense.